Ageless Energy Radio. How to feel 22 at any age. Would you like to feel young and vibrant regardless of your age? Never have to call in sick again. Be laser focused and productive all day long. Stop feeling stressed out by your life. Stay calm and confident no matter what. Go to bed feeling peaceful and wake up energized? Ageless Energy is healing your self-generating energy systems through the renewal of your body, mind, and spirit for complete wellness without artificial stimulants or medication. Would you listen? Anyone who wants to feel young, ageless, and productive, regardless of their years. Join your host, Dr. Chandler George, as we explore your mind, body, spirit to feel 22 at any age.
Hey, this is Dr. George of Ageless Energy, How to Feel 22 at Any Age, your host. And today I have a special guest, Mark Jackson III, right?
That's my son. I'm the second.
Oh, he's the second. See, I've already messed up. He's got multiple nicknames too. Deuce, I should know, the second. And there you are. So he's my guest from Oklahoma City today. So Mark, welcome. And I want you to tell us more about you and your different names too, so we can get that down today.
Well, thank you for having me on. Thank you, Dr. Chandler George. I'm just excited. Thank you. A little bit about me. I do currently live in Oklahoma City, but I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. And I got to Oklahoma City by way of the Air Force, but kind of forced because of Hurricane Katrina. When I was younger, Hurricane Katrina wiped out New Orleans, where I lived, and I enlisted in the Air Force. And so then I did 5 years enlisted in the Air Force. Wonderful time of my life. I got to live in Tokyo for a little while too. Nihongo Yokoshi, wakanimasu, domomato jojo jademasu.
I have no idea what you said. Is that your name in Tokyo?
No, that's Japanese a little bit. And then after I did 3 years in Japan, I came to Oklahoma. I got stationed at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma. And then I got out of being enlisted. And I actually decided, I still wanted to serve the country. And so I became a civilian Department of Defense employee. So I actually did 10 years government service in total. After that, I decided I wanted to do my own business. I wanted to do my own thing. And one of the beautiful things about being in the military is that you are rewarded for your time and your service, not only with medical benefits and things of that nature, but educational benefits. So whereas before I joined the military when I was just living in New Orleans, I didn't really think that I was going to ever go to college because I couldn't afford it. And after I did my military time, I actually was able to go to college for free. And so that was a very exciting part of my life, was to be able to finally attend college. I was 25 by the time I was able to actually even start, but I was happy that I was able to start no matter what without debt.
Well, that's more than worth it. Yeah. I mean, who cares if you're 25? Everybody else starts, at 18, but they're in major debt and they're 45 before they pay it off. And you went in free and clear.
Yeah, it took a minute. I had to work the plan to be able to accomplish it.
So think about that then for a minute, everybody. I mean, here he is at 25 and he already knows how to feel 22 for the rest of his life, because one of the ways of feeling healthy and younger is never to be in debt.
I know that's true. I talk about finance with people all the time, but that is something that's definitely, I can say, that's not a big consistent daily worry that helps. That's not an energy sucker, right?
Yes.
Once I got my degree, my eyes was really open. So, mentally, man, I just remember having like such a period of my life that was just filled with like epiphany after epiphany after epiphany, because I began to do more than just the standard 9 to 5. Like I had been a military employee and then a regular employee, all these time from 20 to, from 15 all the way to after being in the military. But then I discovered real estate. My degree was in business. I began to discover a passion for writing and speaking and teaching. So all those things just really like enhanced my life in a very positive way. And so I'm just happy to be here with you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for allowing me to talk about something that I really love. And I think maybe, you and maybe even the people in your audience will feel like, when you're talking about, energy or mind or body or positivity, it's like, for some reason, you got to feel like an outcast for a second because you're trying to be positive instead of being negative. And so I'm just happy to be able to talk to these things about you, because I enjoy them, and it's good to be able to talk about somebody openly about them.
Well, yeah, and a public forum, so hopefully others will benefit from this as well. So, I always, when I was younger, had to memorize some affirmations to stay positive sometimes. And sometimes it was just give it to God as many times as I could. And other times it was focused on the good, the clean, the pure, the powerful, and the positive, which is a Zig Ziglar quote, right? And also Ed Foreman. And stay away and stop whining, worrying, and working. Stop whining, worrying, and working. Well, most people whine, worry, and work instead of focusing on the good, the clean, the pure, the powerful, and the positive. And so I always learn these positive affirmations, whether it's Ed Foreman, Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, or whatever, that still serve me very, very well today. And immediately change your state, change your position, change your posture, clap your hands, make your powerful move, whatever it is, to change your state. Because we all have certain things in life, and one of them is certainty. And if you can get certainty that you're going to be okay today, whether it's financially or physically or whatever, then you're going to be confident, and you're going to be able to be a leader and help people, which is what you're doing. And so, I want you to share basically, because I think you're doing it in a lot of ways I'm not fully aware of, but also I know you do it with a book called Read Me or Die Broke, in your writing and your speaking, and from your real estate background, which you've done, at a relatively young age. I know you don't feel young, but I'm sitting here going, boy, I wish I knew what you knew at the same age. And I didn't. So, share how you like you being out of debt when you start college. Well, that's a big stinking deal, because you have a leg up that other people never get it paid off till they're 50, And so I want you to kind of walk through the financial stuff, because that's kind of your arena in the book and all that, and your mission and purpose, because by doing what I think you're doing, you're allowing people to feel 22 at any age, because now they have the chance to work out, go to church, feel healthy, raise their kids, and be whatever God truly means for them to be. And they can't be that if they're enslaved or indebted. So Mark, go ahead.
You're wonderful. Thank you. I mean, when it comes to feeling 22 at any age, or just having your energy higher, I think that one of the major drainers is financial stress and worry. I know it was for me. Even though I didn't have student loan debt, I mean, the thing that really prompted me to become a lot more entrepreneurial was the fact that, I had gotten divorced. I had my kids. I was raising my kids by myself. I was in debt. My car was bad. I lived in an efficiency apartment that had, no bedroom. And so the problems that I had weren't coming from the fact that I wasn't living right. So I had followed the basic standard model. I had served in the military. I had gone to college. I worked a full-time job. I went and got a degree. I raised my family right. I was a good person. Right? So I was following the American dream. Somehow, it still ended me up broke. Right. So what is up with that? And I think a lot of people come to that conclusion and just and get to this like, what the heck point? Why? How come if I did everything that I was told to do, right? How did everything turned out to be the opposite of how it looked on the TV screen? When the family was getting out the van, it was nice, and they had the big 3-story huge house, and everybody was happy, because they got the $1,000 rebate on the van. That looked like that works out, right? But that doesn't. So that's what really prompted me to have to say, well, how can I become the Mark that can actually handle these problems, right? So the person I was at the current moment was overwhelmed by the situation that was going on. And that's what I really discovered. Not so much Stephen Covey, because I had learned about Stephen Covey and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People when I was young. But that's when I really started to learn about Earl, Zig Ziglar, the positive affirmations, the mental side of accomplishing things in life. What I mean is, like, this was the first time in my life that it wasn't like you have to have a teacher to teach you how to do what you're doing right now. And I learned that I could listen to audiobooks, that I could use YouTube, that I could read.
Yes.
And so when I learned that it was not what was wrong with me that was causing my problems, it was that I did not know other things I could be doing, as well as I did not read or learn anything about the brain, or learn that I could increase my own capacity to be able to do more things, right? So it's not only, I don't have the ability to do this. What do I do? It was, man, look, if you have a situation or a problem, you can learn how to do something new or about it, acquire that skill, apply that skill, and then be able to overcome your situation. So when I learned that, that's what really made me think about it financially. And that's what really, in my heart, made me want to tell other people about the things that I was learning as a businessman, I was as a successful real estate investor, because it was what I was discovering as people asked me to help them was that they didn't have high enough credit. They didn't have enough savings. They didn't have, any familiarity with doing real estate or investing or anything at all, but they wanted my help. And that's what made me say, it's not people's lack of enthusiasm. It's not their lack of energy or desire to be financially successful. It's the fact that they've never before been exposed to critical financial information, because no one teaches about money. And they had never been able to, I guess, act on that information because they didn't have it. So their situation was bad. But once I realized that, that was a curable state, that I was able to,
Yes.
I cured it within myself, so I was able to prove it. I was like, well, this is let me try and help people who can't sing, can't act, can't play basketball, can't do a $1 million, $1 billion one hitter quitter and get super rich. How can these people actually change their financial situation? And I realized that was, through knowing the things that they didn't know.
Yes, absolutely. No. And so now that you're teaching and leading, what are some of the resources that you have out there for people, or ways they can get a hold of you? Because obviously, I think people of any age, much less young people, but any age, because there's plenty of people any age, all ages, that have no clue what you just said and no clue on that path. How would they get a hold of you to get a little bit better educated and learn more here?
Sure. So I have two primary ways I kind of engage with clients. My website is marksweeneyjackson.com. On there, I have a booking area, so you can contact me that way. And then Facebook is a good way to contact me, Mark Sweeney Jackson on my fan page. I take on a little more private clientele, so it's not so much marketing myself and my business, but I do a lot of work with people who I can tell are serious. So all you have to do is contact me, and then we'll definitely move from there. But as far as my book, Read Me or Stay Broke, just my passion project, it's on Instagram at Read Me or Stay Broke. It's all one word. You can look at it on there if you have Instagram. If you don't, you'll see the book. It'll be out. Trust me. We have a website. We have a website coming under construction. Dr. Chandler George was, wonderful enough to be able to help with that. And so, yeah, the book is coming. It's in production right now, actually in print. And so we're just so excited. So Read Me or Stay Broke is just a book that has an intriguing story of how to become financially secure. So that's what you say, having it in a story. I wanted to be able to relate to people. So in the story, he has to deal with a really difficult situation, and financially he doesn't know how to overcome it. And so because he doesn't know how to overcome it, he starts doing, we would do scramble, look for jobs, things like that. Well, one job actually comes back to him that he was completely unaware of, and, offers him a challenge. It offers him the opportunity to meet with 7 different mentors about business, real estate, stocks, debt, savings, and credit, taxes, so that he can discover what's the secret to the rich. What is the secret of the rich? Because that's what the company that comes to him is trying to discover. They want to know the secret of the rich, just like everybody else, but they can't find out. They don't know what it is. So they have him meet with 7 different mentors, apply what he's learned, and then try to finish, a checklist of all of the most highest and best ways to be able to become wealthy. The cool part is you get to follow along with him as the story goes, as he meets the people, as he goes over through the hardships. It is so close to real life. I remember talking to you about the book. You were saying, I dare people not to be able to relate to this,
Yes, absolutely. And I love the title, by the way. You did great on researching that title.
Thank you.
It kind of says it all. And I know you're a great marketer as well, because you got to get the message out, and a really good speaker. So I haven't heard you speak, but I can tell by how you talk, you got to be a really good speaker. So, all right. So let's relate this. You've been through college, you're raising some kids, you got family, you're doing some real estate. So out of the mind, body, spirit realm, which is the most important to you and why?
Yeah, I mean, the spirit, that is my number one in mind, body, and spirit. Because in the spirit, I think your spirit can speak to you sometimes. And, just with the positive and negative energies that are on earth, you can kind of feel, when you're doing something right or when you're doing something wrong. And I just like to be able to get that that spiritual energy that comes from, doing what I feel sits right with my spirit, teaching, helping, even writing, Read Me or Stay Broke. I know I'm doing something positive in the world. And so it's, being spiritually guided, I feel like, that's me.
Well, and too, from a spiritual standpoint, it allows you to help people get free from the bondage, right? Because it says in the Bible, to try to be debt free and have some financial wherewithal. And one of the reasons, I'm sure, is so that we can help others and have margins in our life and not be enslaved. And so you're teaching others basically biblical principles to be able to do that. But first, you kind of have to do it yourself, and we have to get there ourselves. I know for myself, I bought a house 8 years ago, a really big house, but it was a foreclosed house, so I was pretty happy. But I took on debt for it, right? And I just sold it yesterday.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and I made some good money from it. And as painful as it was for me and my wife, because I'm standing in that big house now and going to the smaller one, which is relative, by the way, because it was a 5,700 square foot house down to a 3,829, and here I am acting like I'm downsizing down to nothing. Not totally true, but still significant because I'm going from 5 bedrooms, 4-car garages, and crap like that, and a gated guarded community down to right on the front street, 3-car garage, losing 2,000 square feet to a nice tract home, if you will. And so it still feels like we're going backwards, after 8 years of being here. However, our bank account shows that we went forward. And I'm telling you, Mark, the moment it's happened, we don't know what's going to happen with this. And I can't share the details publicly yet, but I can tell you that we immediately had some opportunities, primarily in real estate, that were a God thing that we thought we had lost 3 months ago, that all of a sudden comes back into our life the moment we have faith and open up the doors of this downsizing thing, which I think is a bigger thing to do with faith and getting free, financially. And then all these other things start to fall into place. But to get there and to sell the house, like it would be for a lot of the people you teach, Mark, oh my gosh, everything that went wrong could. I mean, literally, because I know the people who buying this house won't listen to the podcast, but it was literally like, the hot water heater goes out the week before. Oh, and then it decides to leak down the wall. And and we'd already had the inspections. Everything was approved. And, oh, God, how we quickly fix this? So we're calling people on the run and all this. And then the air conditioner goes out, like 2 nights ago, right before the close. I mean, everything that went wrong before, and that's not including all the stuff before that we're like, we wanted amended in the contract and all this sort of stuff. And we're like, no, because then if it is, they can come back on you. And so instead we get people just to do it first. And there's a whole story behind all this. And you're thinking, my gosh, the devil's fighting us here on this real estate deal, and it's our own real estate. Why is he fighting us? I mean, if so, we'll just stay here because we love it. It's easy to stay comfortable. And then boom, we'll finally get through. And even then, we're not that excited because we're kind of like, whatever, we're downsizing. But then the opportunity starts to come where someone says, hey, I didn't tell you, because guess what? They came back to us after all this time, which never happens. And do we want to do anything with it? So whether or not anything happens with that, all I know is that it's a God thing. And so I believe for everyone listening to this and Mark's story, which he's conveying and that you should listen to him, is we all have our own unique story. And if you'll have faith in God and follow the principles, and read me and die broke, and that's in the Bible, and follow the principles in a way that makes sense and hear them over and over again. I'm kind of slow. It takes me years and years to hear stuff. And then I hear them at different places in my life, and they sound differently, and I act upon them a little bit differently. So it doesn't matter where you are. It's never too late to get there. You will notice all these things start to fall in line, and all of a sudden you're not living like your friends. I know Mark's not living like every other guy his age. He's living in a whole different stratosphere because he's chosen the hard path up the river like the salmon. He hasn't chosen the path of least resistance. And I believe, Mark, that's what we all need to do. And then by doing that, we all of a sudden have an incredible surge of confidence, power, energy, certainty, if you will, in our life, which makes you feel like you're 22 at any age.
Yes, most definitely. One thing I want to say to your story was it's almost like universal energy, right? Until you made that one decision, the other opportunity couldn't even come back to you,
That's
it's like
right.
almost
That's exactly right.
it's almost like currents, cause and effect. Like it's like the universe can hear you make that one decision and say, okay, well, cool, we can open up the current to this other opportunity because you're prepared or you have an ability to actually participate in it. So that's excellent.
And you're bringing it up. It's a small decision. We all think a little small decision not to do something doesn't mean anything. I know there's a professional speaker named Andy Andrews that teaches a lot of this, and every small decision makes a difference. And he was teaching on back in the 16th, 17th century, where the burn the boats came from, and they take over an island and they go, well, why do you want us to burn our boats? And he says, because we're not retreating. We're taking this island. We're either going to die or take it, but we're sure not getting back on those boats. And I think once you make a decision, then all of a sudden the whole ladder of life changes to another place, don't you? And new opportunities come that direction.
Yeah, I mean, and it just gives you good energy. I mean, it helps you from the inside out feel, more positive. Because this, I think one of the greatest. I think one of the greatest energy stealers is indecision, or like you said, stress points. I think a very big stress point is indecision on multiple topics. I think it causes procrastination. I think all that kind of stuff. But sometimes indecision or not knowing what to do comes from lack of information. And if in read me or stay broke, if it's in a financial matter, I hope that I provide people with good enough knowledge of things that they didn't know that they didn't know, or things that they didn't know they could do that they know that they can do now that will help them. Financial discrimination is what I talk about, right? So like nowadays in America, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you're raised to have equality. Everything is do what you would like to do. Regardless of how people feel like it. So if I'm trying to get a loan or something, you can't say, well, you're too old, or you're this race, or you're this religion. You can't have it. But what they can say is your credit score is too low, or they can say you don't have enough of this down payment. So people are able to, or not allowed to participate in things that they are allowed to participate into simply because they don't qualify. And if I can help people raise more of their qualifications, then, we can all do more real estate deals together, more business deals together. You can do more things personally, financially together, because, credit and ability to use, leverage in our society is everything. They say cash is king. Well, in business, credit is king. If you can, like you said, you took on some debt, but at the end of the day, when you bought that house and now you said, I turned a profit. So there's good and bad debt. And that's just the kind of things that I feel like are liberating financially, but also mentally and spiritually, and, and in your body and health wise, when you're not stressing about money with a little bit more information.
Well, that's why there needs to be more talk about it like this podcast, because if we aren't educating and pushing out there, and we can never do enough, because the TV and the media and Hollywood and everything else is all about, hey, spend more, give me $200 for the movie ticket, give me this, give me that. I mean, I'm getting ready to have to go speak in Vegas this weekend, and I'm telling you, I'll be sitting there, I'll be in bed at a decent time. I won't be gambling. I've never gambled, and I'll be eating, and I'll have more fun watching these people throwing their life away. Not just in gambling, but also in smoking and what they're eating. And not that it didn't happen everywhere, but it's worse there, right? And I'll see 5 days of it in the craziest world ever. This giant conference where everyone's trying to look like somebody they're not, right? And there's a whole industry out there, just for that. So, which is, that's their choice. That's okay. It weakens America, but that's their choice. But then there's plenty that go, I'm tired of this floundering around broke and not having opportunity, and my credit sucks, and I just blame it on life, or I blame it on the president or whatever, which is the stupidest thing ever. It doesn't matter which president we've had. Everyone's blaming him or her. Well, they haven't had her yet, but they're blaming him for all the problems, right? And it's like, dude, it's on you. You're going to have to make different decisions. But I understand that if you listen to too much media and everything, social media, whatever it is, it's all the go buy the Mercedes-Benz you can't afford, go do the cool clothes and be stupid, versus taking the path like the salmon up the ladder so that you can do better things, which is the path, Mark, that you chose, and you're to be commended for it. And I certainly support you in leading people of all ages to get there, because you have a talent and an ability to reach folks at your age and everything that I can't. I'm middle-aged. I'm a middle-aged white dude.
But you know
what I mean?
But if you think about it, it speaks to your good energy. Like for me, I'm like an energy person when I meet people, right? You know, like vibes or vibrations. So I feel like even though I'm a young African American millennial, and like you just said, you're a middle-aged white guy. I mean, we're like the best of friends, even in person when we see each other at the conferences.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, because I mean, like good people attract good people, man. So you know, like with your energy, I can already feel. You know, when we're together, that, you know, I like having conversations with you, I like being around you. And I think anybody
together we can reach more people, right? We can reach more people because our country is more ethnic, Asian, more different backgrounds than it ever was before, which is cool. But because it is, we need more people like you getting the message out there because they're going to listen to a cool dude like you. Kids playing about it. Then somebody like me that they think I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Even if it wasn't true, I believe certain people will buy different stories, right? And it's okay with me as long as we're all sharing the story.
I just think character trumps everything. You know what I mean? I mean, I think that there's stereotypes out there. I think there's all kind of things that make people like, even when, like you're just saying, when it comes to the president, you know, there's all this kind of stuff that people are going to pump you about different demographics and that, you know, you're going to have to experience, you know, vicariously, right? Because you're thinking that this is how these people are, that person is, or this group of people like that. Like how many people actually met the president and have a president opinion, right? Like almost nobody, right? So what I'm saying is, I think that when, you know, you come across, or I come across, or a good person in general, you know, your character trumps all of the stereotypes when a person meets you. Your energy, you know, is received.
They know if you're authentic or not. Yeah, they know if you're the real deal or not. Yeah, they may not know how to even say it, but they know that, don't they?
You can feel it.
Yeah, you can feel it. Yeah, which is why we have a conference on Ageless Energy. Have to go 22 at any age. Our first annual conferences. We've had some smaller ones this October 20th and 21st, Friday and Saturday.
All right.
Hopefully, Mark Jackson II here will be there if he's not having his.
It'll be my pleasure. It'll be my pleasure.
And share with us. We hadn't got to talk a lot about it, but it's certainly our big Ageless Energy conference. And for right now, until the page goes up, just email us at support@catchfirecoaching.com, support@catchfirecoaching.com. And Leslie can get you some information on that. It's very affordable and get you set up. It's going to be a combination of mind, body, spirit, combination of music, touch, sound, practical knowledge, doctors and testing and teaching and mind, body, physical, but also the financial, where people like Mark are going to come in and share with you on a practical, understandable level that's not over your head, that'll make sense if you go to support at Catch Fire Coaching. Two, you'll get our Ageless Energy Zen Adult Coloring Book, which is amazing. In the book. And so, hey, we all got to have our little coloring book, and by then, the Ageless Energy book ought to be out. So I'm really looking forward to everybody coming to that. And it's not a sit down and learn. It's workshop-y. We're going to participate. We're going to jump in the water together and play and stir the pot, if you will. And so I know Mark and I, we go to all these conferences, and too much of it is sit down. It's like, man, he's even just talking to Mark. I got to be around. I got to be moving my arms. I look like a Southern Baptist preacher. I got to be rocking. Well, that's how this conference is. It's going to have the energy, baby. And if it doesn't have the energy, well, then I'm not going to be there. And so it's going to be fun. And that's part of it, is creating that magic for everybody there so we can get true change in your life and make a profound difference. And we'll do these all over the world. We'll do them in exotic places and cool places, because I'm a big believer that when you get out of your element, I get out of Dallas, you get out of Oklahoma City, for the conference, you will have new energy, you see, and people won't be thinking, oh, I got to go do my dry clean. Oh, I got to get back to that, right? And then go back to the conference tomorrow. That doesn't work. You got to be there and be in fully present and jump into the game and be fully immersed to be able to get what you came for. And so we're going to require that everyone be there and stay there. Even if they live around the corner, they need to be there and be fully in place, because that's a part of the learning. I remember I used to have staff in my doctor's offices, and it was a big deal for them to go from Mineral Wells, Texas, into Dallas, because most of them going to Dallas was like going to Vegas. It was a big deal, and stay in a hotel, right? And they got more out of it and got fully immersed when they went back and were empowered to be somebody different, because we grew them. right? And by growing them, you grew your business in your life, and so that's what it is. It's about empowering people, and many times you do it through laughter and new experiences, and that's
the environment.
Yeah,
the environment is important too, man. To be surrounded by like-minded people, that is one of the biggest benefits that I've always received of leaving, home and traveling to an event. It allows you to get focused, but even more so, you spend time during the meeting and even after the meeting with people who are like-minded, who affirm what you're trying to do, who enhance the experience. And then you meet new friends too, people who are in alignment. Sometimes in these books that we read, they say, you're the composite of the 5 people you hang around the most. You'll be so surprised to feel the way that it is when you're surrounded by like-minded people affirming that you're on the right track, that, hey, I'm doing the same thing. I think this is the right way to go too. That's wonderful.
You're right about that, because you and I are definitely have a positive addiction, and that's the addiction to masterminds and coaching and being around the right people. And that's certainly my addiction, and I love being around other people like that, the high achievers that are trying to make a difference and go somewhere, because we too get bogged down by what's on the news and the TV and everyone else's chitter-chatter, and we have to get away from it and get focused. And there's no better place than to get to a meeting like that and change your heart and your spirit, and then get some real change done while you're there before you get back to life. And a week later, you lose the momentum, right? I think everyone needs to do that in every aspect of their life. Too many people go take a vacation and they just make their life worse. They eat too much, they drink too much, they just fall apart, instead of working on their mind, body, spirit, which is really
instead of renewal.
Yeah. I think that's totally worth that. Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure.
Yes.
I appreciate your time and effort, and I know people are going to be blessed by hearing this podcast and come to you and have a lot more questions, and hopefully you can come in October and they can meet you there in person as well. I definitely see having you back on the show, because I think we just got started. We're just teasing that itch.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. And I love your podcast. I love your topics, man. I love your energy. Mind, body, spirit is so important, and the energy is so important. When we sit back and we try to figure out, what I want to do today, or what's my motivation and stuff, I think that I feel like just how all the marketing and the consumerism is a backwards way of telling you what pleasure is. I also think that, sitting back and thinking, what is my motivation, or, what do I need to do? Or, oh God, I don't, instead of focusing directly on you being a direct influencer of your energy, I think it's opposite, right? I think you're doing a wonderful thing for people by teaching them to be in control of what actually helps us move around, like our life force, our actual energy, our gas, so to speak, that's like in a car, we're taking charge, or you're teaching us to take charge of not just sitting back and saying, how do I feel today? Or, what's going to make me want to move? Instead of thinking like that, thinking the way that you're teaching people to think, which is I have energy sources in my life that help me get things done, and they're mind, body, and spirit, and they're renewable, and they're, and I can impact them. How do I go about doing that deliberately so that I can get the most accomplished in my life and be feeling good and vibrant? I mean, that's so needed. And I just want to say thank you for being a leader in that field.
Thank you, Mark. I sure appreciate the kind words. So everyone, find your Ageless Energy. It's never too late to get out there and get started. Go get Read Me and Die Broke and get a hold of Mark before we all get together in October. And Mark, I appreciate you. Give a hug to your kids for me, and we'll be talking soon, sir.
All right. Thank you.